Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today we are again talking about Thunderer, and today what I wanted to do was do a follow-up video to yesterday's video. So yesterday's video, I was clearly upset when I recorded that video and put it together, and a large part of that was because when I got the Thunderer, I had my worst fears realized and that it is actually as bad as it seems to be, because I talked about at the start of the video how ships seem to be worse when you're on the receiving end of them than they actually are. I learned that with the Harugumo and the Smolensk. Once I got those ships, I realized that they weren't as bad as I had thought that they were. The Smolensk was still pretty bad, but it wasn't as, it wasn't as terrifying as I thought it was when I was fighting against it. And the Haruma, I really realized that it really wasn't near as bad as it was once I actually played it and realized, it handles like a wet brick. It still eats the old pin ratio from BBAP. So, I kind of realized, it really wasn't that bad. And I had that same mindset about the Thunderer when I was about to get it. I was like, okay, I'm going to get this thing, play a couple rounds in it, and realize that it's not as bad as it's made out to be, or as at least as it's perceived to be when you're fighting it. But then I had that match that you guys saw where it was literally starting, fires every other salvo and getting 10 to 15k alpha damage with HE on just about, on a consistent basis. And naturally I was pretty upset by the end of that match because it is as broken as I thought it was. And I still do think it's broken. I still do think it is broken. I still do think it is the most broken ship in the game. But today we're going to take a little bit more level-headed approach. I have all my issues with Thunderer written out. I'm not going to be ranting or anything. I'm just going to go through it, explain my reasoning, and have a bit more nuanced approach to this ship rather than the previous video, which is more of a ranty video. I don't do those often, but I was just really, really, really upset that the Thunderer had managed to get out of testing and get put into the game in that state. So that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right on into Thunderer. And right off the bat, the main guns are the source of the problem. So the guns are incredibly accurate. They have heavy cruisers / super cruisers levels of accuracy. The reload time is actually on par with most super cruisers too. And with the reload module, it's actually the same, if not lower, than quite a few super cruisers that we currently have in the match. And naturally, the HE, if you do not know, has a 65% chance of starting a fire per shell with Demolition Expert and the Fire Flag equipped. And the HE is also capable of getting 10,000 plus salvos constantly with the accuracy of the guns, and that the guns are also, 18-inch guns. And the AP is also God tier as well. A lot of people ask why I wasn't firing AP in yesterday's video. That is because I was simply testing this ship out. It was my first match in it. I want to see if the HE really was as insane as I thought it was, and I found out that it was, because all the damage from that first game, all 278,000 damage, came from HE and fires. And the base range for Thunderer is 24 kilometers, and you can get it out to actually just over 28 kilometers with the range mod. 28 kilometers with the range mod. And it's accurate at that level too. Keep on, it is accurate at that range with a 20, at that point now it would be like a 25-second reload. So yeah. So these factors give you the best main battery at tier 10 hands down. Nothing can come close to matching Thunderer in terms of firepower. Slava has good AP, but mediocre at best HE. Thunderer has both good AP and HE. Yami has good Sigma, but mediocre dispersion. Thunderer has both good Sigma and good dispersion. Republic has good reload speed, but mediocre dispersion. Thunderer gets both good reload speed and good dispersion. The turret traverse also is a non-issue, since due to Thunderer's playstyle, you won't have to be swinging your turrets all over the place. And even talking about the turret traverse, a couple of people brought that up in the comment section on yesterday's video. It's really not that bad. It's a little over 30 seconds, so it's not bad. I'm not sure why people brought it up so much, but you really don't need it because you're going to be sitting in the back sniping angled toward the enemy team, so you really don't have to worry about the turrets in the first place. So in addition to having amazing range, Thunderer also has a 12-kilometer detection range with Concealment Module and Concealment Expert, allowing it to pick and choose its targets. This also makes it incredibly easy to disengage from any fight it might be losing. Combining that with its good speed and handling makes it difficult to retaliate against, since it can literally choose when it wants to be seen. Its detection range also means that a friendly DD has to get within 12 kilometers of Thunderer to spot it, which is a death sentence with the Thunderer's HE and accuracy. Thunderer also comes with Conqueror's legendary mod baked in, which once again puts it on par with heavy cruiser / super cruiser maneuverability as a 10-second rudder shift on a battleship, meaning it can dance around torps and has plenty of maneuverability to juke incoming shells if needed. Furthermore, it can turn and run quite quickly since it can still make 31 knots with the speed flag. Thunderer also has decent AA, since it has a very, very similar AA suite to Conqueror. Some Bofors were switched out for 20mm Orlikins, but then she was given DFAA for some reason. Even with AA being all over the place nowadays, Thunderer is still a pain to most CVs. And on the first impressions video, I completely ignored the fact that the thing had DFAA. Well, I guess first impression / little ranty video from yesterday. I completely ignored that it had DFAA. It just didn't cross my mind because I was just playing it like Conqueror. Now, Thunderer's hull is literally Conqueror's hull. The armor is plenty good enough to tank / bounce long range AP. Some people were making it sound out like it was literally tissue paper armor like Slava. It's not. It has enough armor to bounce Yami's shells if you angle, which most decent Thunderer players will do. Now, yes, if you sit there broadside on, you will eat massive damage, or if someone gets a cross shot on you, yeah, you're going to eat a good chunk of damage. But playing Thunderer like how most people play Thunderer sitting in the back, if you stay angled, you don't have much to worry about. Yeah, you'll eat the odd pin here and there, but it still has a pretty decent hill to deal with that either way. But it is vulnerable to HE. But that would require Thunder to be in range and detected, which is prevented by its 12-kilometer detection range and the 24-kilometer or 28-kilometer main battery gun range. And its extremely accurate main guns into that, and it has zero reason to get within retaliation range of enemy ships. So it has no reason, with all these factors going for it, to get within the retaliation range of enemy ships, which is the main issue I have with Thunderer. You can easily do very well with the ship without having to take any risks. GG has to get close to do damage. Kremlin has to get close to do damage. You have to get in harm's way in order to do well in most other battleships. Other snipers give up a lot to get their good main battery guns. Yami, Musashi, Shiki are slow and have extremely long turret traverses, and aren't anywhere near as accurate as Thunderer. Shiki's pretty close, but it's not as consistent as Thunderer is. And plus, with Shiki's 20-inch guns, you get more overpins than anything, honestly, too. Slava literally had to give up its armor, health, Soviet damage con, and turret traverse to get its guns, that you can counter by literally slightly angling. What did Thunderer give up? The super heal. That's it. It gained the Bacon Legendary mod, God tier AP/HE, 18-inch guns with a 25-second base reload, heavy cruiser / super cruiser accuracy, DFAA, and an even better cloaking device than the Conqueror. On top of that, the heal that it gets is still better than most tier 10 battleships heals. It is not balanced, and yes, it does have a lower HP count than, well, every other tier 10 battleship. It has somewhere around, I would say like tier 9, some tier 8 battleship health levels, but it's still not enough. It gets all those things I just listed just by giving up the super heal. And it's not like the super heal got replaced with a standard battleship heal. It's still an improved heal. There's also very little a player on the receiving end of a Thunderer can do to counter it. Try to angle against its AP, Thunder switches to HE and melts you. Turn to run to avoid the HE, Thunder switches to AP and blaps your broadside. Rush it to exploit its weak armor, Thunderer goes undetected, turns quickly and begins to kite you and melt you. Get the CV to strike it, DFA goes brrrr. Get the DD to somehow sneak behind the enemy team to spot it. Have you played randoms recently? Your only options are to retreat outside of whatever is spotting you, or to hug an island and hope the Thunderer loses interest. Or hope that your team can focus fire on it, which again requires it to be within range of your teammates and spotted. Now, destroyers can really mess up a Thunderer if they do manage to get through the team and get to your Thunderer. I've had that happen like twice, and I believe one match is the one match you should be watching does showcase that, where my team just completely, for whatever reason, gave up on the west flank, and the Shimakaze and the Holland were able to run around and do whatever they want and kind of messed over my team. If that happens, yeah, you're going to be in a bit of an issue. But again, if those DDs get spotted, the HE from the Thunderer is more than enough to just absolutely annihilate them. If you don't outright delete them in one salvo, you will basically break everything on their ship. The Thunderer simply does not give up enough to justify it having the main battery that it does. I do not understand how the ship made it out of testing like this, and how players that accost any new Soviet ship give this thing a pass just because it isn't Russian. Any ship that is this broken, regardless of nation, is unhealthy for the game. It doesn't matter what nation it is. If it's this broken, to where it just has everything going for it, and barely anything going against it, it's not healthy for the game. I said the same thing about Kremlin when it came out, about OG Kremlin. OG Kremlin had just about everything in the book going for it. But then they properly nerfed the Kremlin into its place, and now the Kremlin, in my opinion, is a pretty well-balanced ship. The guns have been fixed to where now you have to basically be within 14 kilometers of a target to be really effective with the Kremlin, which means you have to get in the fight. You have to get in there. OG Slava. I complained about how OP that thing was. They properly nerfed it. It doesn't have any armor anymore. It has a 25mm bow, 25mm stern. Its entire side armor has been nerfed down. There's still a couple things I don't like about it, but it is far, far, far more balanced than Thunderer. And plus, you can counter the Kremlin just by angling and playing smart. The Shikishima, like I mentioned earlier, yeah, it's got 20-inch guns, but they overpin most targets. And it's a huge target. It's slow. It's got the Yami hull with the Yami cheek, which means even when you are angled properly, you can still get Citadel through the cheek of the ship. So all these other ships are balanced. Some better than others, I will admit that. Like I said, there's still some issues with the Slava, but overall Slava's pretty balanced compared to the Thunderer. The Thunderer, the downsides just aren't there. A way to fix this would be to simply increase its detection range to like 15 kilometers with Concealment Expert and with the Concealment module equipped. That way, in order to get those amazing guns and sit in the back of the map, you can still be spotted fairly, I won't say easily, but if someone would push up, not to within suicidal range of the main battery guns of the Thunderer, but to within 15 kilometers of it, and spot it, it'd be much easier for your team to deal with. Because yes, the ship does die under concentrated fire. People brought that up. But the thing is, what ship doesn't die under concentrated fire? I know the Kremlin will last a little bit longer because of the Soviet damage cons, because of the deck armor, but it will go down. Every ship in the game will go down under concentrated friendly fire. That's not a counter. You're not exploiting any weakness of the ship there. Everything melts under concentrated fire. Some faster than others, yes. Will the Thunderer melt faster under concentrated fire than others? Yes. But it's incredibly difficult to make that happen with its concealment, with its speed and maneuverability. It's hard to make that happen. So, at the end of the day, will this change anything? No, I was just sharing my opinion in the first video. Admittedly, a little bit ranty, and I understand why people didn't like that. I haven't really done a video like that in a while, but I was really, really, really upset when I made that video. But my point still stands, and like I've just laid out for you guys, this is my breakdown of why the ship is broken, why I think it's OP. And I do think something as simple as a detectability nerf would be enough to rein the ship in without having to mess with the uniqueness of the ship. Because I understand the ship's been out for quite some time. People don't want it to change, but in my opinion, something's got to give to bring the ship into balance. And I do think a detection nerf would probably be the easiest thing to do and the least painful change to the ship. Because again, a battleship with a 12-kilometer detection range, like really, you're stealthier than a lot of cruisers at that range. Like, think about that. There are heavy cruisers that are less stealthy than a battleship that is physically bigger than them and has more tonnage than them and sits up in the water more and there's more superstructure to be spotted. It has less detection range than cruisers. Okay? Like, I think we can all agree that's a little silly and that should be nerfed a bit. But that's what I think, guys. That's everything laid out for you. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm sure plenty of you it won't really matter what I say. You guys are going to stick to your guns, and that's your opinion. But it is of my opinion that this thing's broken. I really do think it is. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 20,000 subs. We just passed 17K not that long ago, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday, and hope to catch you guys in the next one.